All right, we are back again, and today we're going to be doing a paint tutorial. Now, the past couple videos I've been showing off and talking about my Death Guard, and I asked if anybody wanted to see a tutorial, and my patron, Mr. Patty Mick, said yes, so here it is. So, now while you can follow along with this, I don't want this necessarily to be like how to paint this specific scheme, but rather just trying to show you a way of painting and how you can recreate it in different ways. Specifically, if there are any that are privy to the whole Slapchop method, this is going to be a way to emphasize on that method. So starting out, I always start with a flat black prime. I use a rattle can, but this can be done with an airbrush as well. Following that, I do an all-over dry brush of an off-white. This highlights the entire model. When dry brushing, you generally want to be doing like a downward stroke and like a buffing motion on the flat portions of the model. Now that you have the model like pre-shaded and highlighted, I like to use a dark brown speed paint as my base coat. The combination of the first step, the dry brushing, and the transparent paint gives it a nice, like rich, dynamic undercoat. If you don't have speed paint, I think sponging or dry brushing a dark brown would work similarly. For the base coat of the shoulder pads, I use a pale, kind of sickly looking green. Malignant green is what it's called. For the cape, I use red. Red is generally my go-to for all capes. Makes a good, strong, powerful cape. It's a power cape, like a power tie. The black I use for the gun slung in the back, and then just little bits and bobs throughout the model. Now with the tan, we begin to work our way up from that dark base coat that we put down. You want to dry brush this all over the armor portions. Once again, like in a downwards and buffing motion. I even dry brush the tan over the cape as a filter to add more depth and a little warmth. Be careful not to be too heavy-handed with dry brushing on the cape, as not to cover up the red entirely. We continue our way up in value on the armor, transitioning to an off-white. This is the same off-white I used for the dry brushing. Similar to the tan, you want to dry brush all over the armor in a downwards and buffing motion. One thing to remember when dry brushing and using thin paint in general is that the color underneath is going to show through. That's what's giving us our transition, and this will be emphasized and more evident later in the stippling process. Now, the stippling is my favorite part of this scheme, and it gives it that painterly looking quality that you see like in oil paintings. When you look real close and you can see the thick paint and the paint strokes. And so when doing this, you want to start from like a central point on the armor and then kind of like feather the paint outwards. The more you layer the paint on, the more you will want to tighten the pattern of your stippling. Be patient with this process and remember to work with thin layers. For the metals, I use a brass and silver. I really like the Army Painter metallics because they have a really decent coverage and flow. Here I do the first step for the Auspex screen. For screens, I like to stipple like an off-white in the central part of the screen, and I leave the edges dark. Now, as I leave the screen to dry, I move on to the shoulder pads. I start stippling a dark green. Similarly to how we stippled on the armor, you want to start from a central point and you want to feather your way out, leaving the edge as the base coat. I come in after with a lighter green to highlight up further. This will leave us with a nice looking transition with roughed up looking edges. Now coming back to the Auspex screen, I use a bright green to tint the screen, allowing it to pool in the edges, and then I dab yellow in the middle. This leaves you with a really cool, solid looking like sci-fi screen. So nearing my final steps, I do an all-over wash with a dark tone wash. Make sure to move this around the model and not allow it to pool up in funky ways. This can leave some staining that's no fun to work with or to clean up after. You can always wick away excess wash with a clean brush, and I did this quite a bit on the flat armor panels. Once the wash has dried, I come back in with an off-white to bring back the highlights that were dimmed by the wash. Finalizing the model, I paint the base with a yellowish brown speed paint, followed by a tan dry brushing and a flat black on the base ring. And that is my Death Guard scheme on my Cataphracti Praetor. Pretty damn sweet if I don't say so myself. I'm pretty happy with how this scheme has been going so far. And, I hope you seeing this is helpful for you in some way. It's been fun for me, trying new things. And I'm going to continue to try to evolve this process as I go. But for now, I think that's going to be it for me. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a like. If you got something to say, be sure to leave a comment. And of course, if you want to see more content like this and you want to keep up with the show, be sure to subscribe and follow along. I put out a video every Monday. Once again, that's going to do it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and best of luck to you making this happen on your models. Peace. Today is February 10, 2025. Here are 7 dice. Today's numbers are on the D20, 10. On the D12, 8. On the D10, 3. On the percentage die, 40. On the D8, 4. On the D6, 3. And on the D4, 1. Those are today's numbers.